Hello, everybody. So today we are going to be doing brunch gnocchi, and I will let you know right off the bat that for the very first time I'm filming this by myself. So if I seem a little bit distracted, just please understand. I'm just looking over here to make sure all is well. I think we're good. I'm excited. I think we can do this. It's going to be fun. But yeah, just with that little warning, if things are a little funny today, please understand. So we're going to be making brunch gnocchi, and this is a recipe from my cookbook, Good Enough. I've already shared it with you guys, and it has bacon in it, which is a wonderful, generally what I do is cook the bacon in the pan, and then a little bit of the fat is left over in the pan, and I cook the gnocchi in the pan with it. But I'm not really doing meat at the moment, so I'm going to skip the bacon, and we're going to do a slightly different take on it. It won't be that different. It's going to still be eggs and gnocchi, but I'm going to and with a little bit of kale, and we're going to add tomatoes and dill into the eggs. And so I'm going to start cooking the gnocchi first. We're going to take that out of the pan. I'm going to clean it quickly, and then I'll show you my really lovely method for making scrambled eggs. It takes a little bit of time, but you don't have to really do anything. It's kind of just waiting. And when we are waiting, we don't call that waiting here in embodied cooking land, right? We call it meditating. So that's what we'll do. So let's get started. First with some deep breaths. I definitely need it today. There's not scrambling exactly, but just new experiences for me as I am learning to do this. So let's take some deep breaths together. Just fill your lungs all the way to the top. Just really feeling all throughout your torso, all full of air, and then releasing. Notice what it feels like when you're completely empty. And then breathe in again. Slowly, slowly, just sipping the breath. Pause and release. So we're going to just do 3 samavriti breaths. These are the equal breath. It's kind of what we were just doing, but try to keep your in breath, inhale as they call it, and your exhale equal. Maybe 5 seconds, maybe it's 10 seconds, maybe it's 15 seconds. If you're feeling really, really relaxed, try to just breathe all the way in as slowly as possible without clutching the breath. We don't want to ever go because that indicates to our body that there's something wrong. There's a thing to react to, something to worry. That's not what we want to do right now. We want to be telling our body through our breath that we are perfectly safe. It is absolutely appropriate to relax right now. Don't need to be on high alert. And we do that by a smooth, calm breath. This is our body's language. So let's begin. Deep breath in through the nose, out through the nose. Pause and release. With each breath, you are becoming more relaxed. Breathe in. Breathe out. With each breath, you're becoming lighter. In. Release. Okay, fabulous. I could feel that. I hope you can too. The feel of the breath in your body, sort of gently scrubbing through your limbs, saying everything is good in its own twinkly special breath language. Okay, so now we're going to get started. I'm going to think this through. So I have a pack of gnocchi here. It is 17.6 ounces, it says. Okay. Just rooting around for some scissors. And I would love, if anyone is interested, we could try making our own gnocchi sometime. If you're not familiar with this, they're these, it's a lot like, it's basically potato pasta. It's these little potato dumplings. They're mostly made with mashed potato, a little salt, and a little bit of flour to keep them together. They're pretty easy to make gluten-free by using a non-glutinous flour, but that's a little more challenging to make because you kind of want the starch from it. But you have starch in there's ways to do it. So if gluten is something you stay away from, you can still absolutely have gnocchi. And often you can buy a pre-made product like this that will be gluten-free as well. And there's cauliflower gnocchi as well, which is really yummy. That's sort of become readily available. I think you can get it at Trader Joe's and all kinds of places. So I'm just going to kind of break them up a little bit, just so that when I tumble them into the pan, they are not going to stick together. And some people like to pre-boil these or just boil them like you would pasta. There's so many ways to make them. I like to just stick them straight in the pan. Okay, so those are ready. And now I'm going to prepare, one little dumpling got left behind. And I've got this kind of floury, the starch sort of on my hands now from that. Which is a nice feeling. There's not much aroma to it because it's such a sort of neutral thing, just potato and flour. So simple and satisfying. It's going to, of course, soak up all the flavor that we put into it, which would be bacon in the original recipe, but in this one is going to be some butter, and then the kale, and then our eggs on the side. Okay. So I'm going to prepare my kale the usual way. Grab the bottom, this tough stem part, and pull. So satisfying. It's one of those things, if you haven't done it before, you look at it and it's like, I can't do that. But you can do it. You just have to do it. Just make the same movements with your hands that I'm doing. You will do it. I promise you. If not the first time, then the second or third or fourth time. My original recipe calls for just, I think, sort of half a bunch of kale. I'm just adding more greens in today because that's what I want. That's what my body is asking for today. And that is what we're here for, to embody this experience, to allow our body to take charge of what we're doing. Not our sort of busy thinking mind that's trying to solve problems. There are no problems to solve. We are simply doing something. We're making a delicious meal. So here's our kale all ready to be chopped. And I have my beautiful knife. Gentle scrunching sound. So as I go sort of up the stem, it's becoming a thicker and thicker wad because, as you noticed when I pulled up the kale, it sort of thins out at the bottom. So I was making wider pieces, and to keep them kind of the same, I'm going and chopping a little closer together so the pieces are longer, but not so sort of giant that you're going to end up having a piece that's too large in your mouth and sort of confusing. So we have these longer pieces, and then down here, these sort of wider. Anyway, it will all sort of cook down. But here's our lovely kale that we'll use right away. I think I'm going to grab a bowl to put this in, actually, just for ease. Woo! That's a lot of, it fluffs up so much. Ooh, it's too big for this bowl. How exciting. Yum. Kale. I'm going to just set that aside. And now I have some quite wilty dill. And I'm going to, while we're over here, prepare the eggs. There's not much to prepare, but I want everything to be sort of done over here so that I can then be standing over here. Okay. Whoop! Lost a piece of kale to the floor. That's okay. This dill is like probably a week old, which is why it's looking a little flopsy. To keep it longer, you can leave it upright in some water. That often works well. Though sometimes it doesn't. Depends on the coolness of your fridge, the freshness of the dill, that kind of stuff. You can wrap it in wet paper towel. Is also a really nice way to keep your herbs fresh. I don't know how much this is. It's like a handful of dill. That's what I'm using. And I absolutely love dill. And I think dill and eggs are like just an incredible combination. And I'm going to just add in all the baby tomatoes that I have left over, these little cherry tomatoes. And just cook it all together. I'm just having them. Ooh. I hope the mic picks that up, the little blink. Okay, so that's it. that is it for the preparation. If you want, you can also add some cheese, like some aged cheddar would be so yummy in the eggs. I am not doing that today. I'm keeping it, like I said, very, very, very simple. Oh, I guess let's crack the eggs into here. Let's do that. So I don't even remember how much the recipe calls for, but I'm thinking probably 6 eggs is appropriate. But you know what? I think I'm just going to do 4 today because I don't have enough people to feed all of this to. 3, 4. Right, and I'm just going to give this a little whisk. We've got green. Can you see that? Yeah. Green and red and the orange and yellow from the egg. Pretty. Just trying to kind of get at any big lumps and have the yolk and the white kind of mixed together and no big clumps of dill. Wonderful. So now we're going to go over to the stove, and you'll see me just go off screen for a moment because I need to move the camera over. So I'll be right back. Okay. This seems good-ish. Oh, thank you so much for your patience with my learning. This is fun. Okay, so here we are. We have the pan. Whoop. Okay. We've got this heating up to about like medium-high heat. I am going to put some butter in the pan. If we were doing this with the bacon, there'd already be bacon grease in here. We're doing some butter. You do want a decent amount of fat in here. I might even add a little olive oil as well, because the gnocchi is, like I felt on my hands earlier, it's starchy. And so when the starch cooks in the pan, those little bits, it's like every little bit of that starchiness will fuse to the pan and be really sticky. And we don't want to have that experience, because I'm going to cook the gnocchi and then I'm going to take it out, and then I'm going to use the same pan for the egg. So I don't want to be like having to scrub and scrub and scrub. I really need to get another pan so that I can do this a little bit more simply for you guys. But it's funny, this is actually the only pan I have for cooking at the moment. So I need to do something about that. I will. All right. I'm just letting it melt all over. I'm going to use this lovely little spatula. As you can see, it's like, maybe you can't quite see, but it's sort of swimming. There's butter and olive oil. It's enough that there's movement to it. That's what we want. It doesn't need to be like full, like, oh, there's liquid, huge amounts in here, but just something that can move and swim. Tumble these little guys in. You can see almost all of them are separated and kind of sticking to the bottom of the pan. That is what we want. Look how lovely this is. How lucky am I that this amount of gnocchi is just perfectly happy. Every little bit is touching the bottom. Wonderful. And so this is just going to take a few minutes. And it's going to be a kind of meditative experience. Not one where we can actually sort of go off into our bodies, but where we're meditating on the experience of gnocchi cooking. And of course, you could go off and do something. You could wash something, prep something. During this time, chat with somebody. Or you could just be here. I'm moving this over to be a little bit more even on the heat. I'm noticing it's really sizzly over here and not so much over here. Hard to get this perfectly centered sometimes. And that's okay too. I'll move it around. We'll make sure they all get brown. No doubt. And feel the warmth with my hands. Just another pleasure that's available just to me because of the cooking process. And I hope I don't sound like a broken record, but it's just these experiences that we have of feel, of our sight, of the smell, of the sounds, of the sizzle and everything. This is something we want to just keep noticing, because all this embodiment practice, the embodied approach to life and to cooking is all about bringing awareness into just what is happening right now. And then the step after that naturally arises is we notice that that experience is pleasurable, soothing, that it's enough to feel good right now. And when we continue to give ourselves that experience, and we have so many little portals into that experience through cooking, which is why I'm constantly pointing them out, and we have that to come home to, and we know because we've experienced it, truly experienced it again and again and again, our body becomes safe. This is a safe, warm, wonderful place to be. This home that we are walking around in everywhere we go. And it's nothing short of life transformative. I can say the other week I was walking down the street and electric scooter sort of came zipping right in front of me really, really quick. I wasn't expecting them. And I had to sort of leap back to get out of the way. And I remember having a similar experience so many times, sort of having a little moment of danger where you have to respond, where you have to react, and feeling so much fear sort of flood my body, and all kinds of hormones, adrenaline flood through my body. And in order to help, it's just, these are really good things. The fear and the adrenaline are essential, so, so important. And they helped me get away and get safe. But then in the past, when I am safe and I'm walking away, I'm just experiencing the fear. I would hang on to the fear, and the adrenaline would feel so uncomfortable. And I'd be walking and thinking back to the experience and holding on to it in this way that was disturbing. It could be disturbing for 15 minutes, maybe even hours. And what I noticed, and this isn't really something that I could ever do on purpose, it was just a natural thing that I experienced, was that the moment I was safe, I did feel the flood of hormones. I felt the little spike of fear. But the moment I was safe again, I could just kind of like shake off the adrenaline and move on and feel right back to where I was before the incident, feeling safe. Because what I noticed, what I was aware enough, present enough to see, was my body is so good at taking care of me in that moment. It knew exactly what to do. I don't have to suddenly now be frightened. The world feels scary. Oh my gosh, could that happen again? What if I don't react fast enough? I know I will react fast enough. I didn't think to do that. My body did it before I could even think. Therefore, I knew somehow that I was safe, and I was able to just move on. And I am positive the reason for that is because of all this embodiment practice, which of course isn't just through cooking, but is through yoga and meditation, breathing, the breathing that I show you all the time. Okay. I see. Ooh, browned bits. This is what we want. This is what we want, folks. Doesn't that look good? Oh, looks wonderful. And I'm noticing there's more butter over in this side, so I'm kind of going to try to swoosh it around. Get butter on everything. And so gnocchi, of course, is like served like a pasta, generally more of a dinner time dish. But at one of our favorite local restaurants, my favorite local restaurants, they serve a brunch gnocchi, and it just made so much sense to me. It's like, this is breakfast potatoes in just like an almost easier form. Whew, hot. This is what I do, living on the edge. I'm just trying to flip these few little guys that I can see are already toasty on the bottom. We want to get the other side. You could be very exacting about this if you want, sort of try to get every little side. If that is something that appeals to you, if it's kind of fun to try to get every little dumpling just the same. But to me, I don't quite have, I don't know, it's not even about the patience. It's like, I don't want to be so obsessive. It's not a super enjoyable experience for me. I'm going to turn the heat down just a little bit now, because we want these to cook for about 10 minutes without actually getting like dark. We don't want them to get overly brown, so brown that they're becoming black, obviously, but had to say it. The smell is of toasted, it's toasty, of, you know, similar to bread toast, and the butter. It's actually the Maillard reaction, which is something that happens. It's sort of when you make sugars out of non-sugars, out of starch. The browned butter and it's such a pleasant aroma, and it's so much like sugar-like to us. It's something that you get from cooking chicken or things like that as well, the browned smell. These look so good. So lovely. I'm going to grab a fork quickly to test one out. I need another bowl to put these in so that we can do the eggs after. But I think it might be, let me just see how these are doing in terms of softness. Because just kind of like pasta, and like you want them to be smushy in the middle, and then, oh yeah. Okay, these are looking, they're good. They're already good. So now we're going to add the kale just to wilt it. And I'm going to add a little bit of water, which I have over here in the kettle. It's not hot. Loud. So loud at first, the sort of harsh intensity of the water hitting the pan. I'm going to add a little salt, probably like a 1/4 teaspoon, very little. And if we had the bacon, this would be at the point where I'd crumble the bacon in with everything. And now all I'm waiting for is the moisture basically to evaporate. Because this is wilted enough for me. Beautiful. Smells so special. Okay. Oh wait, I have a better bowl here. Great. I'm gonna just take this off the heat now. The moisture is basically gone. simple is this, actually, because of I deglazed it with the water. And so now I'm actually not even going to need to wash this pan before I add my eggs. That's so fun. Sorry for these kind of not so pleasant to everyone sounds. I think that scrapey sound is, to most people, not the greatest. But I'm a part of this right now. Getting them all. Okay, I'm going to set this aside. Oh, hot, hot, hot. Okay. And this is still very hot, which is kind of cool, except that I want to show you a really slow way to cook eggs. So I'm going to just leave it for a sec. Because let me tell you, these eggs are going to cook in no time on this kind of heat. So what I'm going to do is add some butter. And the butter will let us know when it's ready. The butter is melting just from the residual heat of this hot pan. It's still sizzling. And you can notice also, see, as I move this pan around, this part is very hot, this part is less hot. It's just the nature of a big old pan like this that's sort of on an uneven surface. And interesting to notice, I think. I love the way the butter gets foamy. And of course, if you know how to cook scrambled eggs, which probably many of you do, you can do it much quicker. But this slow method makes for such a creamy scrambled egg. It's really kind of extraordinary. And I love to teach it because when people try it, they're always like, what did you put in this? Like, it must be full of cream or something. And it's not. It's really just egg. There's a richness to it in the experience of eating it that almost tricks you, like really makes you think that you're eating something so rich. It's fascinating. And the other really neat thing about it is, of course, it is slow, but you have to do so little to sort of get this experience that it's nice. It's something where you can just put it on and go off and do something. In our case, of course, we're going to do a short meditation. But so I think we're at the point now where I am going to turn the heat on, but I'm going to put it down to its lowest setting, absolute lowest setting. And normally we're looking for that sizzle, right? I do not really want the sizzle this time. And I'm just going to drag this around the pan once, and you'll notice, okay, it's already cooking over here. This part of the pan is hot. And I'm just moving it around to break it up. This part is cooking very slowly. Moving it around. So, you know what? I do like this, but I'm going to use a rubber spatula so that I can show you what this is like moving it around without these scratchy noises. Okay. So we're moving it around. It's on the lowest setting. And it's beginning to cook there on this side in the residual heat of the pan. This is going to be faster today than usual because I only used 4 eggs. And this part is very cool. So what I'm basically doing, and normally if you were doing a larger amount or that it wasn't so warm, you're doing it from a cold pan, you would actually just like do nothing. Would be sitting here. But in order to keep this going and creamy and even, I'm sort of pulling the egg over from this place that's hotter. It's steaming over here still, over onto the part that's cool, and kind of having them switch places. And that's sort of allowing for all the eggs to cook at the same time. It's like this experience of balance. We go from the heat and then we smooth out. And then we go back into the heat and we smooth out, and this creates a creamy texture. There's so many ways to create this really creamy texture. I wanted to show you the complete hands-off version today, but it's just not to be. So now you get to learn this as well. And you can try the other one another time. But yeah, it's slowing down a little bit now, sort of evening out. Yeah, I think we won't be able to do sort of a classic eyes closed meditation today, but instead we're getting to do this type of meditation, the meditation of total focus, not on our internal world and on our body, the slowing down, the observation of our mind, which of course is what we're doing in classic meditative experience, but we are instead meditating on this task, which is actually really cool to show you too, because the reason we do the meditation, the classic one, is so that in the rest of our lives, we have the ability to focus very single-mindedly on a task, which is such a great feeling and leads to such good results in life. It's to be able to focus, to commit to a task, to use our body and mind on one thing is so, I don't know how to express it. It's like, it's revitalizing. It's exciting. We can feel so powerful when we do that, when we give all of ourselves to one thing. We do it to one thing, then another, and then another, rather than sort of our energy sort of leaking off into so many different directions, as I am known to do so many things at the same time. It is really such a joy to practice doing one thing and then see what happens from that. This is kind of how we're built. We allow ourselves to do what we're best at. It's like that's when we can feel really human and vital. That's the word I was looking for. There's something like the vitality to this type of experience. And it really is why we meditate. We meditate so that we can write and just write. We meditate so that we can be with our children and just be with them. We meditate so that we can make our eggs and just make our eggs. And notice that when we do that, there is so much pleasure and peace that is available there. And when we do our classic meditation and we focus on this, we're also developing a body that feels so comfortable all the time, just feels so lovely and open and responsive, that every task, life's daily, what we call, maybe unkindly, the daily grind suddenly becomes, the daily list of lovely experiences. Because isn't that the key, right? To living, to life of bliss, is for our daily experiences, the things that we must do, the ways we must take care of ourselves in this world, to make those into a space where we can feel blissful, peaceful, and at ease. I know it sounds crazy, and I wouldn't believe it except that I've experienced it again and again and again. But yeah, now you can see how this almost seems like it's barely cooking, but it is thickening ever so slowly. And because it has really slowed down now, I am going to lead us in just a 5-minute meditation after my little lecture. So let's find a spot. If you're standing at the stove here, or you're just watching, root yourself into the ground. Feel whatever part of you is touching the ground. In my case, my feet. I am stretching out my toes. I make my feet be evenly together. And then I can feel all the way up through my knees, into my hips, my torso, my shoulders, all that information. As I root myself down, I can feel my body wanting to click, click, click into place so that my spine, so my bones and joints are stacked one upon the next. Feels so good. And just breathe easily. And close your eyes when ready. And just feel the air around you. Maybe the aroma, any sounds. Just a sense of what is around your body. And now let's go inward. With every breath, we are sending ourselves inward. And this is just going to be so short, so focus everything you can on it. Going deeper and deeper inside. Relaxing as we go deeper. Just feel the sensation that's there at the deep core of you. The vitality. And release any tension you find along the way with just your breath. Release your jaw. In my case, my hips. I can feel them tense. And your finger, your wrists. Now bring full deep breath into the body. Bring yourself up to the surface. And when you're ready, just gently open your eye. We're going to check on our eggs. I noticed the texture has changed once again. We have these fully cooked parts underneath, but as you can see, it is not all completely cooked. But we're nearing the finish line. We really are nearing our doneness. Beautiful. And so for the end here, what I am going to do to serve this is I am going to turn up the heat just a small amount, up to medium-low. And I'm going to tumble the rest of the gnocchi back in to warm it. It's actually still very warm, but I'll make it a little warmer while this cooks. And I do like my eggs, you decide how runny, how fully cooked. I know this looks almost like too runny, but it actually is completely cooked. It's just the curds of the scrambled egg are so small from this method of cooking that it looks almost still liquid. And that's what makes it so extraordinarily creamy, is the tiny curds. And what I mean by curds, like the little pieces of egg. We have scramble, we sort of these like frilly little bits of egg that end up a million different ways. And the smaller those are, the more creamy. You hear sizzling. I'm going to grab myself a plate. Crash, bang, boom. Ooh, just a little more egg. Get out of there. And I have this green hot sauce that I really love to put on this. And it's not as essential because I have tomato and dill and greens in this. But when you do the bacon, it's so rich from the rich eggs and then the super rich bacon that it's like, woo! And so having a spicy, bright something at the end is really good. Really, really good, in my opinion. Okay. Here we go. So for me, this is done. And this is warm enough. So what I'm going to do is grab my spatula from before and serve myself some of the gnocchi. Beautiful. The gnocchi and kale. So yummy. These little guys. And then egg. Woohoo! There we go. Maybe it needs a moment longer. Gosh. Yeah. Just going to finish that up. I don't really want this don't know if you can see it on the camera. Unfortunately, I can't get you any closer, but part of it is just like leaking out the side. And you can actually, I mean, some people like their eggs that runny. And honestly, I'm almost that person, but I want to show you something that will be more naturally palatable to most people. I know people get scared about eggs having bad stuff in them in North America because they sometimes do. Very rarely, very, very rarely. But so we do want to cook them through, sort of for safety. So I'm just cooking them a little bit more through here. There we go. Now that's really done. I'm going to get a little bit more on my plate. There we go. And now this doesn't look like much, but I promise you, it is so darn rich, this egg situation here. Okay, can you see me? Yes. That you don't need much. Okay, I'm going to try to take a little bite of, oh no. I'm going to do a little hot sauce. I'm almost out of this. Boop, boop, boop. Just a tiny bit over everything. It just brightens it up. Could also do lemon juice or something like that if you don't want it to be spicy. Mmm. 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 Really, really, really yummy. The gnocchi is so delicious. Beautiful texture as you bite through. And you have super creamy eggs and spiciness and so much, I don't know how to say it. It's like grassiness from the dill. It's a really interesting experience for your mouth to have such a variety of textures like this. In addition to it hitting sweet, spicy, sour, everything. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me today for today's Embodied cooking class. Let me know if you ever want to try making gnocchi from scratch. We could do that, or any other requests of any kind that you have. I'm so open to that. Thank you so much for joining me in this. I hope that you are having as much fun as I am. Thank you, and see you next time.